Kristen Redman, and today we're going to go over the planetary aspects that are surrounding us and affecting us for this week, February 20th through the 26th. This week we got a powerful week ahead. We got a lot of energy out there in the skies that are going to be impacting us all on so many various levels as we approach the upcoming solar eclipse that happens on the 26th. The eclipses are important times in astrology, and especially now because we're nearing the end of the astrological year. The sun is transited into the sign of Pisces, and this week we also have the planet of thought, Mercury, following in suit, and also going into that wonderful watery intuitive sign, helping us to better get in depth with ourselves and with others, to get to the heart of the matter, to be able to get on a spiritual level and a deeply feeling emotional level, so we can recognize what it is we want and dream a little bit bigger to see what it is we want for these upcoming changes for this year, right? And that's what eclipses bring. They bring us these obvious signs from the universe about things that need to change. The eclipses this year center around what makes us happy. So now that we have so much energy kind of going into Pisces this week, especially with Mercury and the sun being there, we're really all able to kind of dig a little bit deeper into what it is that we want and dream, and really start to feel that reality of what we want and what we want to change, right? But by golly, it doesn't come with a whole lot of wonderful energy around it too. We got a really tough week coming up with a lot of other astrological energies around, okay? When we have these eclipses that happen, they signal massive changes in the world of astrology, so they're very, very important. The lunar eclipse happened a week ago, right? And the lunar eclipse kind of signals that very first change in the year. And remember, like I said, the eclipses this year and for 2017, it's kind of more focused on what makes us happy. We're going deep within to say, what is it that I want and how is it that I'm going to go about getting it? That's the goal of 2017. But by golly, it makes itself known, okay? Sometimes these changes are things that we just really don't want to accept. We don't want to say that we need to leave this job or career behind that we've spent so much time and energy on. Maybe it's a relationship that we don't want to let go of because we've spent so much time trying to fight to make it work, and now we're at that realization it just maybe doesn't. Maybe it's a situation where you are debating whether you want to become a certain start a new career in your life, or maybe you realize that, well, I've dedicated so much time of my life coming up to this point into this area, it would be a waste of time and I'd be a failure if I didn't continue on another 20 years doing the same thing I've done. There's a lot of things, though, that the universe started on this lunar eclipse that happened a week ago at the time of the full moon, where it started dropping hints like crazy. Like, no, this isn't right. Let me show you what happens if you stay on that same path. With this job, with this career, with this relationship, with this car, whatever it is, you fill in the blanks. Everybody's a little bit different where the universe was sending them some signs for change, right? We're leading up to this week, and as we go into this Pisces new moon, where we're really going to be bringing that focus in is where those changes are going to actually start taking place. You can't hide from the universe this week when it comes to that. We'll get into that a little bit more. But in that process, right, it's like birthing pains, isn't it? When these new beginnings want to come through and endings have to happen, we have a lot of pains that happen. And this week, we got a lot of that happening thanks to Mars. Mars is that planet of war. It's the planet of aggression. It wants to get things done. And sometimes it plows things over and burns a trail in its process, and people get scorched in a way, right? And this week, it's going to make a connection with Pluto. This happens on Wednesday, on the 22nd. It makes a once every 2-year connection with this slow-moving planet of transformation and power struggles that Pluto is. So you've got the planet of aggression with the planet of power struggles making a really tough connection. What do you think you're going to get? You're going to get a lot of arguments this week. You're going to have a lot of struggles, probably confrontations. Maybe if it's not within yourself, it's certainly going to be with others around you, especially in terms of what it is that you need to change to bring you the happiness in this lifetime, right? Especially in this year. You're ready for those things, and there's some arguments that are going to surface, right? It's almost like, in a way, it's like Pluto is the dump truck, okay, for the universe, and it's starting to kind of bring that garbage up to the surface, kind of like emotional sludge, right? Bringing it up to the surface so we can actually purge it in this upcoming eclipse that happens on Sunday the 26th. Passions are going to be running really, really high. So just make sure that you're not too overly assertive, okay? Because there's going to be a lot of suppressed energy within both people, both parties, both areas, of where we want things to change, but we're unable to, and that sometimes may misdirect some of that energy at you that might not necessarily be your fault or their fault. You're kind of pulling extra things out that are other people's or circumstances' fault. You got to be careful where we point that finger, right? But keep in mind that this is a good thing, right? Because this is where the changes happen. This happens every 2 years. Okay, so this is something, we got some junk that needs to get brought out. Just make sure that you don't let these people try to dominate you. You don't try to dominate other people. But there is going to be some challenges that come with that. Especially when Mars makes another contact on the 26th, the same day of that eclipse. It's really interesting timing. Mars is going to align with Uranus. This is a once-a-year event that happens. And Mars is going to be aligning, so it takes on that same energy of Uranus. And Uranus brings us really unexpected things. And Mars is very impulsive. So we got to be extra super duper careful of our impulsive actions that might get us into trouble. Okay. That could be arguments, right? We know that there's going to be a lot of that underlying current here this week. So we know we need to kind of lay low, be a little bit careful, okay? Because when Mars and Uranus go together like this increases the chance for some accidents to happen, okay? Whether it's on the road or if you're rushing through and you're cutting a bagel at work and you're trying to get some, get that going so you can get to your desk in time so you can get things done because you're angry with your boss or whatever. And be careful, you might cut yourself. You know what I mean with that knife. It's one of those kinds of weeks where we got to be a little bit extra cautious of our actions. Just pay a little bit more attention to what we're doing because we're all going to be a little bit more heightened. There's going to be this underlying current of anger and frustration, and especially at work, everybody. I'm telling you right now, this is a really interesting week because when all of this happens, it's going to be in this time frame when the moon is transiting through the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn's such a hard worker. So there's a lot of things we've been working hard on that you may feel aren't getting noticed. These are going to be areas, especially at work. This is a very career-focused sign that the moon's going to go through. So you may find that a lot of these power struggles and confrontations happen at work, okay? They're not just pulling you up to bring changes there. It's going deep within yourself. Pisces sun shining on you, trying to help you to look inside of yourself and dream a little bit bigger, right? Where do you want those changes? What do you need to have happen? So this week, be careful with all those things happening with Mars. Another thing to keep out with Uranus kind of getting in the mix there is it rules electronic items. So this is one of those weeks where you might find that your phone's on the fritz, your computer's giving up. Just a lot of weird little things that happen. Pay a little bit closer attention to your electromagnetic field as well, because this energy of Uranus tends to kind of frazzle it. And we've got such an undercurrent of that high intense energy thanks to Mars and Pluto making all these powerful contacts with each other. It's going to kind of frazzle that electromagnetic field of yourself. So you might feel like you're a little bit electrocuted in this process. So just make sure we kind of let those things go leading up to that amazing eclipse that we got on the 26th. This is a big thing. Remember, we talked a little bit about that before. This is where those changes from the universe start coming through, telling us you can't really hide from it anymore. This is what needs to change, person. It's about releasing that old baggage. A lot of stuff that started in 2016, the year of endings, a lot of things that happened in September up until the end of the year. We're ready to release some of the old things so we can let the new things in. We're ready to focus on our personal growth. Through and through, every zodiac sign that I see, one of the most powerful aspects of this year, of 2017, happened at the time of this eclipse. Every sign is going to be a little different with what's happening, but right now, this is the thing, because it really calls every single one of us to go deep in, kind of be honest about what it is that you want in general, but what you do want, what you don't want, is what's going to be brought into focus in this time. With it being a new moon, this is when we set our intentions, right? Moon's out of the sky. It's a fertile, open field that we can plant any seeds of intentions that we want. So when we have this energy, the universe is telling us what needs to change. You think about what it is you really want. You got that Mercury, Pisces, helping us really go within and dream bigger. Plant those new seeds, right? This is one of the most powerful moons this year. to plant those intentions, because you've got the eclipse behind it, ready to bring the changes that you're looking for, my friends. So no matter what, though, I just see kind of a tough week, okay? Because we all know that those are the birthing pains that make things a little bit more difficult. So just kind of be careful, lay low, especially with arguments with others. Try to pull out that Pisces sun and be a little bit more compassionate and empathetic on their side, as opposed to having Mars pushing you. And number one thing, don't make any big decisions this week, okay? Too much energy going on where we might make impulsive decisions. So don't do anything too brash, or it'll come out and kind of bite you in the derriere as a result. So let's do a reading. See what other energy we got going on around this eclipse. What angels are working with us, and the cards that they want to pull to bring us a little bit of extra guidance and energy for this very powerful week. So let's see. Who do we got working with us today? Well, it wasn't that, and no big surprise there. Okay, so we've got Archangel Sandalphon. Of course, he is the angel of Pisces that would be coming in and helping with us. He's the one that listens to our dreams, right? He brings us dreams at night. He's the one that helps us to understand them a little bit clearer, but he's also the one that helps us dream bigger about our lives. And he takes those prayers, those intentions, those seeds that we set into that new moon of hope. He's that one that takes that seed, right? Buries it down a little bit deeper and helps it to germinate and to grow. He takes that request right up to heaven and he asks God, hey, this person down here is having an issue and he needs some help. She needs some help. And then he's the one that brings our blessings back down in return. He's also the angel that helps us to get messages through songs. He is the angel of music. So whenever you're riding in the car and you're like, oh my gosh, the song makes me think of this, or it reminds you of a time when you were happier, you go back to that time when you were happier and you start thinking deeper and deeper, what was different in my life then? How was I happier then than I am now? What do I need to do different to kind of get back to that? He is the angel that kind of facilitates that process, the magic that music brings to heal us on all levels. He is around this week helping us to get in touch with everything under the sun. I tell you what, and by golly, that aventurine stone that is right there really helps to calm and cool the nerves, okay? Because we know that's going to be important for this upcoming year. So, here we go. Let's pull some cards and have Archangel Sandalphon help us to understand what more we got going on here. I'm going to do this. I feel like I have to do it 9 times. Eight. Oh, look who that is. Archangel Sandalphon. By golly. Interestingly enough, this is a card of... The Unity card is about kind of getting in touch with our spiritual self a little bit more, our spiritual network that's around us. Uh-oh. Sorry, I had all my family showing up after their bike ride here. Got a little bit loud. Bike ride. Yes. On this beautiful day, right? And what we have this week, of course, is the card that Sandalphon's bringing through, and here he is, Archangel Sandalphon. It's card of unity, all right? It's the number 5 card in the deck of tarot, and of course, 5 in numerology represents changes that are coming, right? We already talked quite a bit about that. The eclipse is bringing those changes. But this card in particular talks about us kind of working together as a unit, right? And a lot of it focuses on finding ourselves in a network of people that are like-minded and that can help us kind of grow, whether that's a new organization that you want to join, whether that's a group of people that you want to join, or it could just be your spiritual network in general, too, that's trying to surround you and help you to understand things a little bit clearer. That's what this card represents right here. And also looking at things from a little bit more of a traditional standpoint, as opposed to being a rebel and focusing on, going against the grain and doing things your own way. This one's kind of asking you to look at things from a little bit more of a traditional standpoint. a little bit more of a logical standpoint, especially since we talked about, Uranus and Mars kind of bringing some impulsive actions this week that might make you do some crazy things. Telling you to kind of slow down, remember, because accidents can happen and bad things can happen. But long and short of it, surround yourself with people that can help you kind of find answers, especially in the spiritual network. I kind of feel it's more of a spiritual type situation. Reaching out to those angels that are around, trying to guide you to what makes you happy, right? So let's shuffle these cards 5 times and see what other energy they are wanting us to focus on as we unite with others and our spiritual selves to find those answers that we're looking for in this eclipse. Confusion. Isn't that something? Well, that sure is the case. And I think there's been a lot of that confusion that's been leading up since September up until we had this lunar eclipse that happened last week. It's time of the full moon, right? Lots and lots of confusion. Even still, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? What's the next step? That's what these eclipses help us to bring into light, right? And this week, I think everybody's going to start finding, especially after the eclipse happens on the 26th, that those signs are very, very obvious as to what it is we need to do. Maybe that fog of confusion begins to clear up as we see things a little bit more accurately, thanks to our angels and spiritual networks that are surrounding us. So, everybody, have a wonderful week, and thank you for watching. Bye.